Welcome to the first episode of Come Talk About Sports. Today I have a special guest, Marcus Pierre.
What's up?
We'll be talking about all different type of topics like, is WWE a sport? We're going to talk about boss sports and multiple things. But let's start off. Marcus, what do you think? Do you think WWE is a sport?
All right, hear me out. I'm going to go with yes, all right? Because it's a competition between two people that requires a winner and a loser, and it's athletic. So yes, it is a sport. What do you think?
I don't think it's a sport because it's scripted. Starts out scripted. It's like a movie. A movie scene is scripted, but you need a certain type of role. You got, look at The Rock and Baywatch. They're not going to have a short, fat dude as the Baywatch guy. They're going to have Dwayne The Rock Johnson and Zac Efron, two very fit guys. It's like WWE, and you guys are fit.
But, so let's take, for example, the movie High School Musical, where you see them playing basketball.
Yeah.
Just because that's scripted, I mean, not basketball anymore. It's still a sport they're playing.
But you're saying the movie's a sport?
No, that part of the movie is a sport.
Yeah, they're playing it.
They're playing a sport in the movie.
But it's scripted.
But it's still a sport.
Does it say a sport? You need a competitive advantage.
How so?
You got to compete for it. If it's scripted, if the Super Bowl is scripted, you know how everybody be screaming.
Yeah, but it's still be a sport, though.
It's not a sport.
Because it's an athletic competition between two people.
WWE, they have fake blood.
Real blood.
They have blood capsules.
Sometimes. Not all the time. Sometimes.
Majority of the time, it is fake blood, and it's not a real competition.
Because you see these guys who are traveling, 300 days a year. You see that they're in the gym 5 times a week putting in that work. They're big dudes.
Well, that's like a movie scene, too.
Mm-hmm.
These actors put in the work for a certain movie. Jonah Hill barely even got paid for one of his movies, Wolf of Wall Street, and he grinded that movie, and that's how they do it for WWE, because it's like a TV show.
I don't know. As somebody who's been to these events and real, up close and seeing these people actually work, that the amount of work they put in to see, to hear, being there and hearing what they're doing, it has to be real.
So do you think it hurts when they get thrown on the ground?
Yes, of course.
When they get to padding?
On the ring, it's wood, and then I'd say about an inch thick padding. That's it. So when you fall for falling on a carpet. You fall for real, and it hurts.
So, I feel like if that was the case, if it was that hard, more bones would be broken.
They are, all the time.
Not all the time.
A lot of them broken. Like you saw in, for example, in 2008, John Cena tore both of his, he tore one bicep and then came back 3 months later. It happens all the time.
Yeah, mistakes happen. You see that in movies also.
And then even outside the ring, outside the barricades, that's a real concrete they're falling on. And then there's one match from WrestleMania where The Miz fell and he hit his head in the back of the concrete and was knocked out mid-match. So
I don't know.
It's a sport for real.
I'll have to wait and see. But next topic we're going to go to, Tom Brady. Is he the best athlete of all time?
Easily.
Easily?
Not even a question.
I think it's now. MJ's not in the case. It's all one case right here. It's all Tom Brady. But I think it's mainly, we don't know that much about hockey, but Wayne Gretzky, he has similar accolades, but I think it's either him or Brady, no question.
What about baseball? Who would be the go-to baseball?
Baseball, there's a lot of guys. You got like Babe Ruth, but it's all older. And I saw an argument about Serena Williams earlier.
Wow.
But it's also, her accolades didn't look amazing because there's so many competitions.
That is true.
But Tom Brady,
easily,
no question.
I saw a stat earlier that was talking about in his 20s, he was dominating. In his 30s, he was dominating. Now in his 40s, you saw last night, he's still dominating. So I think it's not even up for debate anymore.
He's had 2 Hall of Fame careers and 1, potentially even 3. But it's amazing. You think they're going to go back-to-back?
I think there are a lot of good teams next year, but I believe it's definitely a possibility. But
Who's your early number 1? Who's going to win it? What's your prediction?
I think the Chiefs come back for revenge. Chiefs 1, I'd say Bucks 2, and then this is a big prediction, but Patriots 3.
You have the Patriots losing to KC in the conference championship?
Yep, down in KC.
Who will be the quarterback for the New England Patriots in 2021?
I'm going to go with either Mac Jones or we could possibly trade up for Trey Lance, but besides that, I don't see anybody else coming back. Just hopefully not Cam.
Yeah, potentially a trade up, but who knows what happens there. Maybe they do a blockbuster with Deshaun Watson, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, same.
Hopefully anybody but Cam Newton. But
yes, please.
Where do you think somebody like Allen Robinson's going to go in free agency? Do you think Patriots going to make a move for him, or is he going to go somewhere like Green Bay?
So we've been hearing all these discussions about how the Pats are going to be unnecessarily or unusually aggressive in their this year in free agency. So I think I'd say it's down to Chris Godwin, who we've heard is going to be franchise tagged, or Allen Robinson, who is going to be a New England Patriot. So if I had to choose, I would say he'd be in New England next season.
Allen Robinson, New England Patriot.
Yep.
I think he's going to Green Bay. I think Green Bay is going to make some moves there. I kind of want the Patriots, maybe not this year, maybe next year. I want them to try and make a move for Jordan Love. I think they're going to be fully convinced that Rodgers is the guy. He's the guy here. Maybe they'll pull a Jimmy G like the Pats. But I love Jordan Love. Loved him last year. I want him to be a New England Patriots.
So in your opinion, how do you fix the Pats next year or in this offseason?
It's just a quarterback. I want a young guy.
No receivers.
You're going to have dudes coming back.
Mm-hmm.
I like the young dudes they have. I like Jacoby Myers. You can bring one dude in. If you get Allen Robinson, of course, that is amazing. But
and N'Keal Harry, too. Continue.
N'Keal Harry he's out of the picture. N'Keal Harry is
Let's give him one more
bona fide
year.
scrub. N'Keal Harry was one of the worst picks that they've made in the recent years.
Worst picks?
One of the worst.
Like Cyrus Jones worse?
Cyrus Jones pretty bad.
Yeah.
N'Keal Harry's pretty bad.
Let's give him a chance with a good quarterback. Because year one, he was hurt most of the year and he came in already behind. And, Brady has a circle of trust with his receivers. So that's already at his advantage. And then last year, he had Cam. Let's give him a year with a good quarterback and see what happens.
I don't know, but now let's move on to the hardwood. Let's move to basketball.
All right.
What's your sleeper team to win it all?
My sleeper team to win it all. I know as a Boston fan, no one's going to like this, but the Celtics, obviously, are a sleeper team. I think people are counting them out too early.
Yeah, I'm going to go with... I don't think the Sixers are the real deal. The Bucks isn't really a sleeper team. Celtics going to battle. But I like the Utah Jazz.
Why? The Jazz?
Jazz, best record right now.
Okay.
That team went 7 with Denver in the first round. They blew a 3-1 lead. But Rudy Gobert, one of the best shot blockers in the game. Of course, I don't think they're going to make the finals. I think the Lakers are there. But I could see them potentially upsetting a team like the Clippers. I don't think the Clippers is a team. I think it's going to be Lakers again unless injuries occur. But I like the Jazz. They have Donovan Mitchell. If you can find a consistent role. They got a good bench. They got Joe Ingles, Jordan Clarkson. They got plenty of weapons with a healthy Mike Conley, too. Mike Conley's had an amazing year.
But who's on their bench outside of Jordan Clarkson?
Joe Ingles comes to the bench most of the games.
That's true.
They have a solid bench. Then, who do you think? What do you think the awards? Who's going to win MVP? You think right now it would be Joel Embiid, no question. Joel Embiid, but who?
No question. I don't know about that.
I think Joel over LeBron.
So MVP is Joel Embiid most likely. Rookie of the year, all the hype, LaMelo. Defensive Player of the Year, I don't think AD or Giannis have it. Maybe Rudy Gobert. Not too sure about that one. We can come back with that. Who else is there for awards?
Most improved.
Most improved. Jaylen Brown.
Jaylen Brown.
I've been saying it since last year. He should have won it over Brandon Ingram. Jaylen Brown most
over
improved.
Brandon Ingram. Brandon Ingram
Yes.
went out of nowhere and was an all-star. I can see Jaylen Brown this year. Who's the sixth man of the year?
Sixth man of the year, Jordan Clarkson.
Yeah, I would agree with Clarkson. My MVP, though, end of the road, I think it's going to be a shocker. But I think Nikola Jokic.
Wow.
You look at Jokic's stats, it's amazing. The team's going to start to battle back. The Nuggets are going to start to become a top team again. Jokic's going to keep up his phenomenal stats. Jamal Murray just needs to stay healthy is the only concern. Rookie of the year, LaMelo. Unless an injury happens, 100% will not be Anthony Edwards, who is a bum. Sixth man, Clarkson. Defensive Player of the Year, I got Rudy. Most improved, I did have Christian Wood, but now Christian Wood's going to be out for a while. So Jaylen Brown, unless an injury happens. But yeah, I'm going Jaylen. Who do you think's the most underrated guy in the league right now?
Most underrated. There's a lot of them. I would say still to this day, Chris Middleton is the most underrated.
And
because
Middleton
you
is
see
pretty underrated.
that Giannis is getting all the praise, which is overrated in my opinion. Drew Holiday stepped in a big role. But everybody forgets that last year, Chris Middleton shot 50, 40, 90, and is doing it again this year, averaging, 22, 23 points a game?
Something like that. He's averaging over 20. He's having a great season.
I think he definitely is most underrated.
I got to go. Western Conference Player of the Week, De'Aaron Fox. De'Aaron Fox in his last 10 games, averaging 28 points, 8 rebounds, shooting over 50%. I think the team's 7-3. That team isn't anything amazing, but De'Aaron Fox should be an all-star this year. And he's proven that the Kings could maybe sneak in the playoffs because of him.
But the thing is that you may think that, but they brought in Halliburton for a reason.
Yeah, Halliburton's a good guy off the bench.
But I think they brought him in to replace Fox, honestly.
He's going to have him the 2, shooting guard. De'Aaron Fox is not getting replaced anytime soon.
I think he might.
They like Halliburton the 2. Clutch time, they put in Fox, put in Halliburton. His shot's the real deal. Halliburton's not going to be a bust. He's going to be a legit guy, but I think it's going to be De'Aaron Fox, Halliburton. Buddy's going to get traded. I don't think Buddy, he's already said in the past, he doesn't like being there. He comes off the bench. You got Rashawn Holmes, a young guy. Bagley, he's had a bad season. People want him to step up, but I'm going all with De'Aaron Fox. I think he's the real deal. Young guy. Nobody can stop him. Maybe you've seen in the past, he is insane in NBA 2K. De'Aaron Fox, all the way. What team do you think is going to shock some guys in the playoffs?
Shock some guys. Let's see. What team could shock somebody in the playoffs? Honestly, they had a rough start, but if they can turn it around, they will still be a deadly team, and that's the Toronto Raptors.
Toronto?
You see my guy, Fred VanVleet, shout out Fred VanVleet in fantasy, saved me last week. If he can turn it around, which he already has, someone like Kyle Lowry, you're going to have OG.
Kyle Lowry might get traded looking at him.
But if he does stay, you have OG coming back on top of that. Boucher has emerged. So I think they have legit talent over there.
I'm going to go with Phoenix. Devin Booker, he's averaging 22, but he's not shooting amazing. I think Chris Paul is going to get it more into his head. He needs to shoot smarter shots. Eden's a good player. Cameron Johnson has been a good player. Mikal Bridges has been stepping up huge this season. I think Chris Paul is going to lead this team, potentially going to pass the first round, go into the second round. I think Chris Paul is going to be a key guy on this team.
But my problem with that team is that you saw last year that they were among the top teams in pace. And now this year, bring Chris Paul in and slowed down by a whole lot.
Yeah, that's why they've been slow.
Yeah, and that's made Booker struggle a little bit.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he can bounce back, be the same guy he was last year.
That's a big part of this team, but I think Booker will be able to step up, show his role, show he can still be a legit guy. I think Chris Paul is going to show him more of the offense, and this team's going to be the real deal.
And I think people forget how good Ayton is because
yeah,
Luka and Trae Young were in the same draft. But Ayton is legit.
He's number 1.
Yeah, he's legit big.
Yeah, he is one of the top young centers in this league. What's the next topic? What do you want to talk about, Marcus?
One thing that I had to talk about is that the Celtics have a $28 million trade exception that they need to use before starting next season. So who do you think we should use with that?
I've seen people talk about it in the past, but Harrison Barnes would be a perfect 6th man on this team. Harrison Barnes to score well, everything you ask for. Give me all of Harrison Barnes because I think he's having a almost career year, averaging about 17 points on the Sacramento team that we talked about in the past, but Harrison Barnes would be amazing. They still have some money left, but there's a lot of guys. What do you think? I
think, as a Celtics fan, we hear every single year, we hear it before the draft, hear it during free agency, at trade deadline, that we're going to make some big move, acquire a big star, and every year it never happens. And honestly, this year, I'm not getting my hopes up. I think there's options like Tucker in Houston, Aaron Gordon possibly in Orlando. I think Barnes makes sense. I don't think Vooch because...
Would you want Vucevic on this team?
Honestly, I would not want him.
Why would you want Vucevic?
You already have 3 valid big men.
Vucevic's almost going to start him. He's having an amazing year. He's been consistent.
At the same time, to match contract, you give Kemba. So give Kemba for Vooch.
But you also have the trade exception where you don't even have to give it up.
You would at some point because you have...
Yeah, I'm over the cap, but you want to worry about it in the offseason.
So Vooch would definitely help us a lot, but I don't think it'd be that big of a difference, honestly.
What do you could, if they offered you, say, you have to give us Robert Williams, Romeo Langford, a few first rounders in the future, and maybe say, I don't know, really say, one of the mediocre guys in the team. Would you do it?
No.
Why not?
For Vooch?
For Vucevic.
So you said give up...
Robert Williams, okay. Romeo. I'm trying to think of a mediocre guy in the team.
Maybe Daniel Tice. mediocre.
but
I guess.
what about Daniel Tice? You throw in Daniel Tice and say 3 first-round picks.
3 first-round picks for Vooch? I'm not too sure about that because you've seen that this season and the bubble, Time Lord stepped up big time. He's doing it again this year.
But he doesn't know how to guard against the pick and roll.
He's got to learn. That's the thing.
But
He's learned through experience.
He knows his role. He's going to be an amazing player in this team, no question. I think if they got Vucevic for a trade like that, all of a sudden, I think they can beat the Bucks.
And then I think bringing in Vooch as well would also hurt Jaylen Brown and Tatum because then the ball's out of their hands more, which makes them not as...
Yeah, the stats will go down, but I think they will win more games with Vucevic, no question.
That's
Vucevic's
true.
the real deal.
But then bring him in, that shows out our bench that we already don't have in the first place.
If you have Vucevic, that's starting in 5 will be phenomenal.
Yeah.
And you could potentially maybe move Marcus Smart more to the 6-man role, go as a rotation on shooting guard.
Because on the bench right now, you put Smart on the bench, that's good. You have Pritchard, he's been amazing as a rookie. You have guys like Teague, who's been up and down. Javonte Green, not that good in my opinion.
Javonte Green, yeah, he's a really athletic guy. You got Semi Ojeleye.
Not that good as well. Honestly, I still wouldn't do it. I think the team is good as we are now. Add a solid piece at the 4, and I think we'll be good from there.
What do you want, Marvin Bagley?
No.
Why not Marvin Bagley? He stretches the floor. What would you give up for Marvin Bagley?
For Marvin Bagley, most I would do, I'd say maybe Tremont Waters.
Tremont Waters? Who would accept that deal?
Romeo Langford in like a late second. That's it.
I don't think they'll accept that. What about Andre Drummond? Andre Drummond, they got a bag of chips for him in Cleveland for the trade last year. Maybe Celtics can do something similar, get Andre Drummond for about nothing.
I don't want Drummond either, honestly, because you see at what we make our living off of on the Celtics is spacing. You see where Kemba can drive to the basket. Same with JT. Same with Jaylen Brown. They need space. And by having Drummond there, we clog the paint. You saw that all the Celtics bigs, Al Horford, Aaron Baines, even Time Lord now a little bit more, Robert Williams, and Thompson, who's getting there a little bit, but they all can shoot the 3 or shoot those mid-range shots, which open space up to facilitate.
Yeah, I wouldn't want Drummond. Drummond, I think I saw a stat. He's shooting under 50% on layups, which is terrible
for a big
man.
Yeah.
That's why I wouldn't mind someone like Marvin Bagley. Marvin Bagley, his dad legit tweeted out that he wanted his son out off the team. I think it was a few weeks ago, but if you give me Marvin Bagley, I don't know, I'm on with bench guys. They're on bench guys. Maybe trust Marvin Bagley in the future. Maybe you see. Do you think the Nets are a real threat to the Celtics if they made a big trade?
The Nets make a big trade?
If the Celtics made a big trade for somebody like Vucevic, I want to say a big trade for Bagley. Say they made a solid trade. Do you think the Nets could beat the Celtics in a 7-game series?
Honestly, right now, I say like no trade. I'd say by the time the postseason comes up, the Nets will have beaten themselves because you've seen in the in every single big 3, everybody had a role. We can go back to the 08 Celtics where you saw Pierce was your guy, KG was on defense, Ray Allen shot 3s. You saw in the Heat, Braun was your guy, Wade was your backup guy, and then Chris Bosh was more on defensive rebounding. You saw in OKC, it didn't work. KD was your guy, Russ is your facilitator, and Harden off the bench. Now you're seeing in Brooklyn, you have KD's the guy, Harden's the guy, Kyrie's the guy. How's that going to work?
I think this team, the Nets, right now, their defense has been horrendous, no question. The defense won't be that good.
Yep.
That offense,
it's
nobody can stop that offense.
But
if Kyrie Irving can get along,
which is a big
that's the biggest part of the team. Kyrie Irving, just get along with everyone. He's a good guy, he's a little crazy. But if he can get along, I think this team, it's going to be them versus the Bucks, Eastern Conference Finals. If the Nets aren't a 4 seed, which I wouldn't be surprised. But I think it's going to be Bucks, Nets, and it's going to be an amazing series. But the question is, who's going to guard Giannis? And I think the Bucks is going to win the East this year. But I don't think the Sixers are the real deal. They're going to fall apart soon. Injuries always curse them. But I'm not afraid of the Sixers, but I think the Bucks are going to be the team out of the East.
And then speaking about the Nets, can we talk for a second about Karis LeVert and being traded, about how that pretty much saved his life? That was crazy.
That Pacers team is also going to be really good once LeVert, TJ Warren have a starting 5 with Brogdon.
Definitely.
LeVert, Warren, Sabonis, and Miles Turner, who's... If season and now he might have been Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
That's a solid team now. You would have the Holiday brothers off the bench.
Yep.
You would have McDermott, who's been stepping up. That team's all of a sudden, if they can stay healthy, which they can never do, will be pretty good.
I'd say they can get to maybe the 4 seed, I think, and 5 seed.
Yeah, they do that every single year. It's just, they just need to stay healthy. Last year was Bonus. 2 years ago was Oladipo, and Oladipo was her last year also. But it's definitely going to be interesting, that East. Who do you think's going to win out of the West?
Out of the West, Lakers. That's easy.
I think the Lakers, no question. Some have the injuries, but I think it's going to be competitive outside. You saw with the Nuggets. I don't think the Clippers are real. I'll be honestly surprised if they make the West Conference Finals. I think the teams like the Nuggets, you got the Jazz, you got many teams that can compete.
What about the Heat from last year? That over in the East Conference, they were for real last year.
I think they're going to sneak in. They're going to be a first-round exit, but they're going to give
first-round exit?
First-round exit, but whoever they play, it is going to be a long series.
It will be.
But I don't think they're going to win a series. Because they're one of the worst teams right now record-wise. So I think they'll maybe finish off as the 7th. Best case scenario is 6th seed, and where are you going to play? Philadelphia, maybe, Milwaukee, either the Celtics or the Nets. I feel like all 4 of those teams could beat Miami pretty easily, 7-game series, but it wouldn't be short, like 4 or 5 games. It'd be a tough 6-7 game series. I think that team's definitely going to be first round exit.
And speaking about Milwaukee, I know this is about to be a hot take for everybody listening, that I think Giannis is very, very overrated. I'd say maybe top 5 in the NBA right now.
Maybe?
Because you see that in the playoffs happens every single year, where the regular season dominates, he's a beast, and then come playoff time, teams say, all right, if you want to win, be us by shooting threes. It never happens. It's where he just can't shoot.
The thing is, in the playoffs, when you drive in, get that double team, is his teammates wouldn't hit it. Now you got Holiday can hopefully step up, who was once an all-star, and you still got Chris Middleton. Chris Middleton adds him in, the best player in the big clutch games in the playoffs. He's had good in playoff games, but in the most important games, he can't step up just yet. But I still think the Bucks are going to be the favorite. I think Giannis isn't going to win MVP this year, but he's still one of the top players in the league, no question.
Who would be your top 5 right now in the NBA?
So number 1, I'm going to go LeBron.
Okay.
Number 2, I'm going Kevin Durant. Number 3, I'm going Giannis.
Wow.
I got Giannis at 3. I think Jokic might be number 4.
That's fair.
Jokic 4. Trying to think of another player. Who do you have?
I would have LeBron at 1, obviously. I'd have Kevin Durant at 2. I'd have Kawhi at 3. I'd put, right now, honestly, this season, Steph Curry at 4.
Yeah, I would put Steph at 5, actually, my 5th. I forgot about Steph.
I'd say Giannis just makes top 5 just barely this season.
Yeah, I think Jokic. I love Jokic. I think he's gonna have he's a little Dirk in him. He is shot, but he has the play style. He can pass amazingly. But I think people need to respect him more. If the team start winning games like they were in the past, all of a sudden, I think Jokic's a top 5 player. Stats back it up. Made to the West Conference Finals. Him and Jamal Murray could be the future if anything ever happens to LeBron.
And earlier today, KG made a comment about how he doesn't believe how guys in the past could play in today's league. Think that's true?
I think it's a way to evolve. That's how everything happens. The league evolves. If you put these players back in the day, the defense is totally different.
Yeah.
The defense is so much more tough back then. It's just the play style. There was barely any threes. If guys were practicing threes back then, they'd be better three-point shooters. The defense is different. The height differential, even from the 60s, isn't that much different from now. I think it's maybe an inch and a half taller. I don't really think it's pretty different. I don't like people saying something like Will Chamberlain and Bill Russell, oh, they're terrible at the competition they played against. They played against solid guys. So the rules were completely different. Like, people make fun of them back in the day. They dribble with the head down. But the rules were completely different back in the day.
Yeah.
You can judge the past. If you put best players of all time now, give them a while, they get used to the rules. I think it's just it evolves over time as the league goes. 20 years from now, I'll have the same argument.
You've seen guys like Steph who have changed the game in so many ways. Guys like LeBron, who have dominated. Kevin Durant being 7 feet tall and can shoot lights out. It's crazy. But I think, yeah, they'll be able to adapt to today's game. I think that comment was not true.
Yeah, anywhere. MJ argument doesn't really work for people because he came back in Washington. They didn't make the playoffs, but I think it was last season or second to last season. He was amazing. It's just he got hurt. The team just fell apart. His team wasn't that good. They had Rip Hamilton, but it was before Rip Hamilton became anything. MJ's one day actually mentored him. But I think you can't really compare guys in the past.
Going back to Steph, what about those Warriors? Next year, getting Klay Thompson back, they should be pretty good because you got Steph, you have Andrew Wiggins, and Klay, James Wiseman, Kent Bazemore off the bench. Should be pretty good.
Yeah, the team, maybe, I think a best second-round team. I don't think the Western Conference Finals team.
No.
But I think it's going to be a good series. All
Definitely
right, now I'm going to play an ad.
Hey, it's Emma Spagnolo, General Manager of WQAQ. Are you looking for a fun and creative way to get the word out about your business while trying to appeal to a young group of college students? Well, look no further. WQAQ is Quinnipiac University's student-run radio station. Here at WQAQ, we allow businesses of all kinds to advertise their products and services to our dedicated listeners. All we ask is that you provide our production team with copy points for your desired ad, and we'll come up with a professional and fun radio spot that will play at least 20 times per day. That's 140 times per week, and 1,800 times per month. WQAQ, the soundtrack.
All right, and we're back after that quick ad, but we're going to start off right away. Do you have any guys, underrated guys, you think could potentially take over the National Basketball Association?
Underrated guys who could take over the National Basketball Association. There's a lot of guys that could do that. I think you see Zion, who, I mean, in the long term, I don't know if he can be there for the long term, but right now, he's definitely a star.
Yeah, Zion's definitely amazing.
Even Brandon Ingram on the same team is a star, too. Jason Tatum's the future of the league. Luka, Trey, a lot of guys who could be the star. I think Luka's the next face of the NBA, honestly.
I'm actually going to change it. What team do you think will be a contender 5 years from now who's nothing amazing right now?
I would say, honestly, the Suns will be a real contender, and the Cleveland Cavaliers.
The Cavs.
Colin Sexton has been insane this whole entire year. Even throwing the Thunder as well with some SGA. That Sexton's been good. Garland has produced a little bit. Okoro, the rookie out of Auburn, he's been okay.
Yeah, he's a great defender. He doesn't show in the stats, but he was drafted for defense, and he's been good on defense.
I think if they can continue to draft well and develop guys, they can be a legit threat in the East in 5-6 years maybe.
I'm still a little bit of a... I want to say Sexton hater, but I don't think Sexton's still all that. I think Sexton is...
that?
I don't think he's going to be a guy in the future. I think before the year they said he was going to be a good sixth man for a contender, but I don't think Colin Sexton will be... I think he's going to be maybe a 1 or 2 time All-Star. I don't think he's going to be...
Yeah, All-Star, mate. I think he's going to be... I think his ceiling is a great player on a very good team.
I compare him to something like Jamal Crawford.
Yeah, because you saw him versus the Nets where he just went crazy in both overtimes. I think he can be legit.
Yeah, I love OKC. I think OKC has this potential where they could maybe build a dynasty off. They're going to have salary cap and trades. They have all the draft assets, but you start with SGA. He's going to keep getting better. But we got somebody like Al Horford, I think. They're going to keep playing Al Horford until the trade deadline. They want to play as good as possible. Him, George Hill. George Hill's hurt, but George Hill was playing good. They're going to trade them, try getting even more picks. But if you know me, my guy, Alexei Pokusevsky, he actually just got called to the G League bubble, which I love for him. But I think this dude, he is 7 foot. He can shoot the ball, but he has to be more smart with the shots. He can dribble the ball. He's been amazing on defense this year. And they drafted him 18th or and they traded up. I think they traded away Ricky Rubio on draft day to get him. They absolutely love this guy. The coaches praise him. They put him in the G League bubble because they want him to get adapted to the shots, but he's already playing 20 minutes a game. But I think he's going to be the real deal. And I think people are going to have to start investing in this guy because 3-4 years down the road, they're going to have all these picks. They're going to have him, SGA, Isaiah Roby's been good. They've had many dudes who could step up. Lou Dort is going to be a legit 3-and-D guy. But I love OKC. OKC is going to be the real deal.
Yeah.
Also, the Pelicans. Pelicans is a good team. You got
Definitely.
Zion in the future. You got Brandon Ingram in the future. That team's going to be legit. And Lonzo's probably going to trade him, but do you think Lonzo's good? You think he's going to be good?
I think he has almost reached his ceiling, whereas being a great passer and can score here and there, have those games where he hits like 4 or 5 threes. But I think his role will be just a passer. That's it. A great passer at that. But I think the problem with Zion is that you've seen it with guys like Russ, guys like Derrick Rose, where their game relies a lot on athleticism. And with age, that fades. So if he can work on his game more, become like a better threat from outside, and can hit shots and not all layups and dunks, he can go out in the future.
Yeah, I think he could potentially be something different, but I think he needs to leave New Orleans.
And go where, though?
A trade. Chicago's been in the talks. Chicago's not bad. If you can get him, Zach LaVine, Kobe White, potentially on the bench. But I would kind of like him. The team I kind of like with the moves they're making is Detroit Pistons. Detroit Pistons, what they like to do, get these guys who might have not been that amazing in the past, and they want them to develop. You've seen that with Josh Jackson. They just traded for Dennis Smith Jr., who's been terrible. He wanted to play in the G League, but now they traded for him. He's going to get minutes. Jeremy Grant, they said, we're going to give you a good contract. If you think he's the real deal, that's what happens once Blake Griffin contract expires. But I would like Lonzo. I like Sekou Doumbouya, young dude. Sadiq Bey. They have young guys
Hayes there too.
Who?
Hayes, the point guard.
Yeah, Killian Hayes. When he was healthy, he wasn't doing that good, but I'm not concerned about Killian Hayes. But I think that team, I like the moves that they make.
That trade with Derrick Rose to go back to New York, how do you think about that?
I think Thibodeau is a terrible coach.
Terrible. Wow.
Young guys is terrible for. You've seen that pass over and over again. You see Derrick Rose got hurt. Jimmy Butler, he got hurt in Chicago because they just played him nonstop. All the players love him. He's definitely not a bad personality, but his defense has been amazing this year. But they have these young guys. Julius Randle, look at his stats. He looks amazing. But if you ask any New York Knicks fan, most of them do not like Julius Randle. And then you got R.J. Barrett playing increasing amounts. He just refuses to play Emmanuel Quickly, who is proven to be better than Alfred Payton. Now you got Derrick Rose in the mix, but I don't think Thibodeau is going to lead this team to greatness. I see something fall apart there in the future.
But I think you saw at his peak, he had like MVP Derrick Rose, obviously.
Yeah, he's definitely, because he plays the dudes so much where the stats going to be so inflated.
Yeah. But he made someone like Joakim Noah look like a Defensive Player of the Year. You had Taj Gibson being very good for you.
Yeah,
so
he's going to play them a lot.
He can be a good coach.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think they can lead them to. Grant's definitely a better season than they had in the past because he says, you're bad, but it's not going to play you. But he even said it the other day. He was like, Jimmy Butler, I didn't think he was going to be any good. I don't know. I just think it's a lot of the guys in the front office. His defense has been amazing this year, but I think he's a little overrated coach.
Also, I think coaching is a little overrated in the NBA because you can have the greatest coach, but with average players, and they can do something not that great. Or you can have great players, awful coach, and still being a champion.
Yeah, that's what I think about Doc Rivers. Doc Rivers.
Absolutely.
I always think underrated story is him when he was with the Orlando Magic. The Magic, they had Tracy McGrady, they had Grant Hill, and Tim Duncan was set to sign with the team. They went out to dinner. Him, Doc Rivers, I forget who else. But Tim Duncan asked for one thing. Can my wife and kids go in the plane? He said no. And Tim Duncan was furious, left, decided to go back to San Antonio, but he was set to sign there. Now always ruined the team. Then went to the Celtics. They were terrible before they got the big three. They got the big three. EC wins the championship. Goes to the Clippers, one of the most talented teams. They couldn't even make a West Conference Finals appearance. Then now you're at Philadelphia. They're looking good so far, but will they lead anywhere? I don't know. I don't think Doc Rivers is that amazing of a coach.
Yeah, I don't think Philly's going anywhere. Lob City, they were fun to watch for sure.
That team was good too.
Yeah. Celtics, you heard the reports that no one thought he was that great of a coach.
Yeah, no.
Big Baby called him out for that. I think Doc he's okay, not that great. But who's the best coach right now in your mind?
Popovich, no question.
Still?
I still think he's the best. That San Antonio team is nothing amazing at all.
Yeah.
That team, still 500 team, just missed the playoffs last year with a team that just isn't that good. But Popovich leads his team to success. Popovich is the best coach of all time, and he's still the best coach now.
Of all time?
All time, give me Popovich.
Even with Jordan and Kobe's
over
coach?
Phil Jackson.
Wow. Over Phil Jackson.
I'm going with Popovich.
I would take it too, but that's a debate we could have definitely for sure in the future. I think Phil Jackson, the one knock on him is that he didn't want to go anywhere where they were going to lose.
Yeah.
So I think Pop would still win that debate, but it's definitely a debate to have in the future.
Yeah, Pop has led these teams. Another argument way back, got right our back, but we also know free agency back then. But I think the real debate between Phil Jackson and Popovich, but I think Popovich is the best of all time. Anything else you want to add?
No.
All right, so that's all we're going to have on the first episode of Come Talk About Sports. We'll have a new guest next week. You have to wait and see what that is, but thank you. Have a nice day, and keep rocking.